Hi, my name is Lexi Jong and welcome to my channel. Today I have with me one of the new Dior Quints, and this is in the shade 579 Jungle. It's 7 grams or 0.24 ounces, and all of these Dior Quints are made in France. So right now I already have 2 of these and I've reviewed them on my site. I have Soft Cashmere and Tutu, and I absolutely love both of them. And I've just sort of been blown away by this new Dior formula. So I ordered 5 more and this is one of those 5. So I do have 4 additional ones that I'll be sharing with you guys relatively soon. But let's go ahead and take a look at this palette. So this one is a little different from the other 2 that I have, because the other 2, this lighter shade in the top right hand corner is actually a topper in both of the others, and this one isn't. So let me go ahead and swatch these and we'll talk about the shades. These are the top 2 colors. And this is gonna be the middle and the 2 bottom shades. All right, so all of these shades are beautiful. And I know everybody keeps calling this the green palette, but it's really not that green. It's actually, you know, more just like earth tones in general. So this first shade here is sort of a satin metallic peachy shade. And then this is gonna be kind of a warm champagne shade. And there's like the slightest hint of peach in it, but definitely nothing to this level. And again, this is gonna be like a satin sheen as well. And all of these in general, aside from the brown one in the middle and the evergreen, they're all rather shimmery. So just something to note, the brown one in the middle is a matte, and you can see that it's like a true earthy brown. And then we have this more olivey shade, and I'm not even sure exactly what to categorize it as, but it's really more of a combination between mustard yellow and olive green. And then this shade here, which looks almost black, is actually just a really, really deep green. See if I can spread that out a little more. So it's just very deep. I have 2 eye looks to share with you. This one that I have on today, and then another one that I did. This one that today, I really just kind of wanted to play with that deeper green. So I have that as a base all over my lid. And you can see, you know, when you actually apply it, you see more of that green. And, you know, it's not a true forest green because it has a little bit more blue in that. So more like a really deep blue spruce. So I think that's the best way to kind of categorize that. So it's a really deep evergreen, but it has those blue undertones to it. This Quint performs just as beautifully as the other ones that I used. I have to say though that this deep evergreen shade, and you'll see in the eye looks that, you know, when you kind of blend it out, it doesn't blend out the smoothest. So if you're trying to use it just as an all over color, I don't know, for me, it did get a little bit patchy when I started to kind of blend it out. If you're keeping it more opaque and deeper, no issues whatsoever. But when you kind of brush it out, you can kind of see some spots that are a little bit deeper than others. So it wasn't the smoothest blend, and I've used these shadows with and without a primer. Both of these eye looks that I filmed have the Hourglass eye veil eye primer on. So both of the looks will have primer, but just so you know, that's the only one that actually applied like a little patchy-ish. And I have to say, I really like this palette. I wish they had like another green palette with, you know, more of a green focus. But I also picked up the denim palette, which also has, it's mostly blues, but there are some like blue-green shades in there. And I think this palette is really nice because you can pair it with other palettes as well and kind of get a huge variety of looks. So on its own, you can get a lot of looks, but I also think that all of these colors, because they are so different, they really lend themselves very well to being companions to other palettes as well. So for example, like this deep evergreen, mixing that in with denim or mixing that in with the Tutu palette. I'm really interested in playing with those. And, you know, these other shades, they're all relatively neutral. I'm gonna go ahead and show you the 2 eye looks that I created with this palette, and then I'll meet you back here and just give you my final thoughts. We are going to go in with the Dior Jungle palette. And I'm going to start by mixing the brown in the middle with this light toppery shade. So I've got some on my brush. This is the rougher 16. Next, I'm taking the Givenchy Soft Shader in this peachy shade, going into the inner portion. Same brush into the dark evergreen. I'm just going to dab a little bit of this in the outer corner. Wiping that brush off and going into this more mustardy green. I'm going to put this right in the middle. Just kind of tapping over the peachy side, and I'm going to go completely over the evergreen. Taking anything left on the brush and just dabbing over the entire eye so I have a little bit more of a gradual look. And wiping the brush off, going into this topper. Just going to pat this on top. And going to blend it a little bit in the crease. Going back with the rougher 16 and no shadow, just going over things. Taking the Sonia G Pencil Pro, I'm going to use this topper shade for the inner corner. You know, I keep calling it a topper, but it's really just more of a light champagne shade. It's not as sheer as a real topper. And then for the lower lash line, I'm taking the Pencil Pro with just a tiny bit on the top. I'm just gonna add a little bit right here. Wiping my brush off, I'm just gonna now take that deposit and spread it out. I'm gonna add a little of the champagne shade to my brush and go over that and just kind of drag the two colors out. And this is my first look with Jungle. So I'm gonna go ahead and add a brown eyeliner on the top and some mascara, and I'll meet you back for a distance shot. And here is my final look from a distance. So I used the Chanel Stilo A Contour in number 34 Contour Brown, and then I added the Surratt Lash Tint. And that's it. On my cheeks, I have on the Suku Blush Palette 101. I used this peachy shade here, and I also mixed in this one that I have. This is the number 4 in the single. And I used the Clé de Peau Holiday Highlight. And on my lips, I have the new Hermes lipstick in Rose Nuit, which is the matte shade. Using the rougher 15, I'm going into this more olivey green shade. Taking the rougher 02, I'm going in the deep evergreen. You can see, you can like kind of tap it on and have it really dark. You can also sort of sheer it out a bit, which is what I want to do. So I started at the outer corner, so it would be deeper there. And then we progressively moved in. Just gonna add a touch more. Back with the rougher 15, no shadow, but I'm just gonna kind of blend those two a little bit in the crease. I wiped off the Rephr 02 and I'm going into the Champagne. I'm gonna put that all over the lid. Look here. Just adding a touch more of the evergreen to the outer corner. Just a very light touch. I wiped off the brush and now I'm just gonna blending out where those two hit. Taking the Linda Hallberg 333 in the evergreen, I'm just gonna line my upper lash line with this. Using the same brush, going into the brown. And this is for the lower lash line here. Taking the tip of the Rephr 02, and I'm just getting a little bit of the Champagne shade on there. I'm gonna run this under the lower lash line. And this is the eye look up close. I'm gonna add some mascara and I'll show you distance shot. This is the final look from a distance. I have the Surratt Noir Lash Tint, the Suku blush in number 4, the single that I have, as well as the deeper highlight from the Suku blush palette. And on my lips, I have on the Rose Ombre lipstick from Hermes, which is this one here. Now, my final thoughts on this palette, I actually really like this color story. When I first saw it in the promo pictures online, I wasn't really sure if I would like it because of these more peachy, warmer tones. I didn't know if it was really the aesthetic that I was looking for, but I ended up caving and picking it up, and I'm glad I did because I find them to be very versatile and they all go well together. So I think that's one of the things I really like about these Dior Quints in general is that they have really done a great job with the color stories. I think each one of these Quints has a really great color story. None of them, even the ones that look very basic, they all have something special to them and they're all different enough that you could really get all of the Quints. So again, here are the shades, and surprisingly, I really, really like this shade a lot. I also like this one a lot, and those were the two I was most concerned about, so that kind of surprised me. I love the shade of this evergreen color, and I think it wouldn't be a jungle palette without it, so I do really like that. I do think, you know, it could be slightly smoother, but I'm still happy with the quality of it and the way it performs regardless. It's just not the best one of the shades that I've used from the Dior palettes. Overall, I would definitely purchase this again. And as I mentioned before, I think these colors here in this palette are so neutral, yet not like your typical like blacks and browns and beiges, that they compare very easily with any other palette and give it just a little something extra. So I think not only is it a great standalone palette, but it's also great as a companion palette. And I really, really like it. Looking at the swatches one more time, I just wanted to show you how much sparkle and shimmer we have in these. So these first two shades are really going to be like a metallic satin. And what I mean by that is you've got that metallic foiled finish, but not as overt as just a plain metallic. There's a satin base to it. So it makes it a little bit more subtle, but you still have that metallic sheen. And again, this one's going to have like the warm peachy undertones. And this is going to be more of a warm champagne with the slightest hint of peach to it. This brown is going to be neutral and it's a matte shade and it blends out beautifully. I really like this one. It actually blends out a little bit better than the deep evergreen, and that's probably due to the kind of the black pigment that's mixed into this, and that can typically be a little bit drier and cause you know, just not as great of a performance with blending. So that'd be my guess on this one. It still blends nicely, but not perfectly, as you saw from the looks. This shade here I wanted to show you because we've got that metallic finish like we do with these, but there's additional shimmer in there. So I'm hoping that's coming across, but there are actual shimmery, like glittery pieces in there. So this one's gonna be even more sparkly. So far, I am really enjoying all of these new Dior Quints that I've tried so far. Again, this is only my third one that I've tried, but I can't wait to play with the other 4 that I picked up. And if you haven't already tried this new formula, I highly recommend it. And if you have, I'd love to know what your thoughts are down below. Please let me know if you think it is as great as I think it is, because I'm really, truly enamored with this new formula. And it's definitely going to be going into my yearly favorites at this point. So it's hard to stop buying these because they are that good. And the color stories, even the ones that look pretty much the same, are just so different. There are so many differences in the undertones and the nuances of the shades that they are different enough. But I'm going to try to keep it just to the 7 that I purchased, at least for now, because I do want to focus on the holiday Quints as well. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you will know when my next video appears. And if you haven't picked up one of these palettes yet, I would definitely take a look at some of the sales that are occurring now and coming up and so forth. And this would definitely be something you may want to consider purchasing in any of the color shades really that interest you. But I definitely think this formula is a great one to test out, and I think it's worth the money. These retail in the US for $62, but they are a little bit less expensive. I want to say $53 at Selfridges. So depending on where you purchase them, those are the regular prices, but there have been some sales where you can get discount on these. So I would definitely recommend looking into that. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you had a great time watching this, because I had a great time filming it and playing with these shadows. Thank you so much. And again, please hit the subscribe button, share this video with your friends, and I will see you soon.